Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to, now we're almost finished with day one of the 30 Goals Challenge conference, and we have another very inspiring speaker for you. And the reason I can say that is because I got to meet him while I was recently in Venezuela, and Johannes, and he shared a story with me about how he had to teach in these difficult, but he was just so full of heart and his approach, and I thought, this is going to be really incredible. So we might have a little bit of feedback because let me tell you the situation in Venezuela. It's sometimes the Wi-Fi is not always the greatest. Sometimes the electricity goes out, things like that. You experience a lot of difficulties, but the people and the teachers are amazing. And so when Johannes did a keynote that he saw, I told him if he would come and speak, and he's gonna be in here with the WhatsApp, so you're gonna hear his voice and you're gonna see his slides, and so we're gonna do our best to give you a really quality presentation and be able to, that you can feel his energy. So Johannes, I'm gonna point it towards you, and you can begin.
Shelly and your team for this opportunity to share the experience Venezuelan teachers have here with others. Despite the difficulties you have mentioned we face, there are some still teachers like they want to keep on teaching, they keep inspiring, as you say. Thank you very much for the invitation. So thanks to you everybody for being here and for the EV conference. This amazing team has prepared. They have been preparing for a long time now, so thank you for sharing with us. So as you can see on our first slide, the name of the presentation and the name of the worksheets I have, we closely mirror a balanced reflection of our ELT practice. So not so much that so many times that we think of ourselves or we take a pick on our practice, our teaching practice. Sometimes we go on teaching and teaching like for years, decades, or one semester, another semester, another school year, and rarely we evaluate or assess ourselves and what we're doing, and barely think of our students. And then we face different situations, and sometimes we ask ourselves what's going on, but then we don't do anything about it. So this is basically what we're going to be talking about. So if we move to our second slide, which says in our teaching experience, you can see two pictures and then question marks. And those are two different situations, two different experiences that we have as teachers we have faced. So the thing is, when do we go from the first pictures, you know, like a very happy teacher having students participating, second picture where the teacher is like praying for the school year to end, or she doesn't know if she's gonna survive, right? We all have gone through those experiences. Sometimes maybe at the beginning of our teaching experience, we were eager to do different things, no matter the situations, but then when things started happening to us, things that maybe lack of resources or any other things that we're going to be talking about a little bit, then we start asking ourselves, what are we doing? If our teaching practice, if our work, it's been taken into account not by others, but by our own students. And then we face that. But if you're able to follow on the next slide, it said, was it always like this? What do we face? Thing is that sometimes we're in the peak of our teaching practice, like we're really comfortable what we're doing, we're really enjoying what we do, but some other times we're, as the second picture we just saw. But the thing is that there are things that we face every day that takes us to those different experiences, to those different areas. So what are those things that we face, right? So if you could see, I showed a slide of a small tornado that has different things that we deal with daily. and it says time, salary, resources, non-recognition, even stress. So those are items, those are aspects that we deal with daily. Sometimes in schools, especially in public schools, well, in our case here, uh, resources are very limited. Students don't even have a book. I mean, not even for English or for any other subject. So teachers have to work on their own to provide students the best way to learn or the best way they can approach to them to show content. And sometimes it comes out from their own salary, which is not much. And well, this brings sometimes non-recognition, not even because you're doing mm, even though when you don't have resources, but supervisors and some other people, like like the ones that are supposed to be guiding you, they don't take that into account, and that brings stress. So when you're stressed and then you start thinking like, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing a good job? Am I supposed to be here? Am I wasting my time or not? Are they really learning? You start asking different questions. The thing is, no, I mean, that happens, that doesn't happen not just to you. It happens to all of us. Sometimes the resources are not the problem because you have a lot of resources, but maybe you have teachers that they don't know how to use it because they haven't been trained. But all these ways in the attitude we have towards different situations we face in order to be better teachers, in order to become agents of change. So then we can ask ourselves another question, like if we move towards the next slide. uh, it says, I'm a teacher, so and there's a very particular picture there that I hope you could all see. Um, and it's a picture of Dracula and with a woman there telling him, I wish you were more self reflective. I mean, I have always asked myself, why if this guy is so powerful. He can fly, he can transform himself into a bat and everything. He's immortal and all that stuff. Why can he simply reflect on a mirror? Well, the answer I found, to myself, it's that he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to look at himself. I know that the legend says that he cannot be reflected because he has no soul and this stuff. But the thing, he has so much power, he could do it. The thing is that he doesn't want to, and that's where the other matter would like to treat its identity. Comes. What are we? Are we aware of what we really are, what we were before, what we are now, and want to be someday as teachers? Most of the time we get trained on how to do things, different approaches, working class, techniques, and even resources that they bring to us. But most of the trainings teacher receives are not based on themselves. They barely talk about what they feel, about what they are, about their identity. And we start forgetting ourselves, like that we touch the future, we work with people, and we can make a difference if we decide to make a difference. So that brings me to tell you a little bit about my experience, and it comes on next slide that says a learner's the thing is that we cannot cut out our students from the teaching process. It's teaching and learning process. Okay, there wouldn't be teaching if there weren't students. Okay, so learning, it's a very important part of the whole teaching practice thing. So the thing is that most of our students sometimes, because our own attitude, are not willing to learn. They do not have interest. The thing is that we need to realize that most of our students, they come to class with no purpose. So in our case, for using the language, we have received so many things in our teaching practice, like, teacher, what do I need English for? We live in a Spanish-speaking country. We do not need this, and blah blah blah. So it is very difficult to teach something when someone is not interested in it. So you need to get them involved. You need to give them a purpose. And most importantly, they need to see that you really want to teach them. Because if you want to teach them, they want to learn something. I'm going to tell you a little bit more experience. The first time I faced the classroom some years ago already, I went to a public school to teach a secondary school. And it was a very challenging experience for me. It was my first time teaching, and I had a classroom filled with 53 students where I only had 23 chairs for them. Only 23 chairs. Uh, and of course, my desk. The rest of the students, if they got late to class or they didn't enter the classroom earlier, they had to be standing in class. And the rest were sitting, but I mean, there were like 30 people left with no chairs. So the first thing that I did was like telling them to please take all chairs at the back and to sit on the floor. And one of these students told me like very, in a little disrespectful way, so you're gonna be sitting while we're gonna be sitting on the floor? Is that what you're saying? He said, and I asked for his name. He said he was Carlos, and I asked Carlos, "Can you please take my desk and my chair at the back too?" And I sat on the floor with all of them. So let me tell you that I spent the whole year on the floor teaching them, and we were working on a project. We used to work on projects in secondary school back then, and we were working on a project with values. So I spent the whole year teaching them, building a role play for our pedagogical closing at the end of the school year, where each of them represented a value in a role play, like in a play in English. It was very hard work, but they did. But what is most interesting about a situation is that I didn't care about being sitting on the floor. It was, I mean, the attitude the students took when they saw what I was doing, that I was caring about they not having chairs, that it was with them on the floor. I was there teaching them. We were working on this project, and it was a very difficult classroom, let me tell you. There were some students that were initiating themselves in thievery, and it was very like, wow. So by the end of the year, when I was doing my pedagogical clubs with my students, showing it to everybody, and we had a meeting so we can hand it grades and everything to students, some of the students approached to me, and they started giving away like things they have, like guns and stuff. Then they said that they didn't need that anymore, and I was very amazed and surprised. And they told me that I had showed in a different like picture of like a different scenario. On a year after that, they called me, and I was granted the honor to be their godfather. They do that for proms a year, so I conducted the ceremony and everything. It was very good. It was amazing. So they told me this, that they were really shocked that someone cared about them like this, and that's why they let me work with them the way we worked. So you can do that. You can show them what you want, and they will, if you do not underestimate them. If we do not underestimate our students, believe me, great things, you can do great things. So there are other positive aspects in the next slide, like says learners' involvement, and believe me, they became cooperative, helpful, and they changed. This Carlos, who was also in this group, that was like initiating February, now he's starting to become an engineer, and he has his own stand, for sailing drinks and stuff now. I see him every now and then when I'm nearby his area. I'm really proud of that. I'm really grateful for that. So if you go on the next slide, we can change that. Say, are there reasons to keep on teaching? Do you have reasons to keep on teaching? Do I have reason to keep on teaching? Well, let me tell you that I do. These experiences that just like the one I just told you have shown me that no matter the things that I face, if I face this with the right attitude, I can make changes in someone's life. Even in mine, I can make changes in someone else's. The impact and the results you get to see are amazing. Sometimes you don't even know the impact to cost in at least one life in a classroom that is filled with 30 or 40 students. So yes, we do face all those things that we were talking about earlier, like the low payment or our time we live stressed. There are no resources, or we have resources, so we are not trained on how to use those things. Uh, but yes, there is always a reason to keep on teaching. And I give it a name there. I hope you could see the slide says teach yourself. We need to teach ourselves to be teachers. We need to teach ourselves to remember ourselves. We need to teach ourselves on how to work on ourselves and do not lose our identity. What we were trained for, what we were studied for, what we are devoted for, what we did maybe at the beginning with this, like amazing interest and an impulsive, good vibe to get things done for our students, to our students, for our work. We do not, we cannot lose it. And we lose it because we forget it. That's why we need to teach ourselves not to. So, if we go on a little bit of review on the next slide, some aspects that we just talked about. All teachers face their own tornadoes. You in every part of the world, me here in Venezuela, you there in the United States or in Australia or anywhere, we all have problems. Maybe we do not have the same situations, but there are things that are against us sometimes that we need to face really, really with the best attitude. Our teaching identity must not be overlooked. You do not know the impact you can cause in someone else until you dare to work and show what you really are or what you really have. Do not underestimate yourself or your students. Don't do that. Students are amazing. You just need to teach them how to see that amazement in themselves. There is always a reason to keep forward, at least for me. I just told you mine. And let me tell you that this presentation, that this keynote was given for a regional convention tour, Empowering Teachers in ELT, where we wanted our Venezuelan teachers to go back to their identity, to go back to the hero they were. So the last line here says, you're a teacher, use your superpower. Being a teacher, you're already a hero. So don't underestimate that. Don't forget about it. So my name is Shelly. I already shared a link on the chat box. You will see later when we're closing this a video that caught my attention, because one of my students that I taught once at university when he was in the first semester, when he was graduating, he posted this video that you're going to be watching later on my Facebook wall. And I was impressed that he posted on my wall a video that says, thank a teacher. You will see it. I taught him once, and I didn't know the impact I had caused him, or I had on him, until I saw this video on my Facebook wall. So I would like to close this, short version with a quote of Malala Yousafzai. I always believe that even one book, which is our last slide, I always believe that even one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. Believe me, if you decide, if you are willing to take your identity as a teacher, to use those superpowers that you have as a superhero, you will see things differently, even when you're facing a situation that sometimes you don't know how to solve. I encourage you now to keep on teaching. I encourage you now to go for those reasons to keep on teaching. And I encourage you now to inspire others, not just teachers, but your students, and sometimes yourself. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for coming to this e-conference, for taking the time to listen to what other teachers around the world, have experienced. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shelly, for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. That's such a moving story, and I really appreciate it so much. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and end this keynote instead with questions. What we're going to do to keep, the impact of it is we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can actually play this video within it. So if you see Johannes live too, he's just amazing. He's a bubbly person. He has a better smile than me and a better laugh, and people are always complimenting me, but he is really inspirational. So thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to end the broadcast. Hopefully you'll be able to see this video. And thank you, Johannes.
Great. Shelly's amazing too, and her team, amazing. Thank you.
I'm going to put, and then you can see, click play on the video.